Time now for our League of Legends Global Power Rankings for the week of July 14th. Joining us, as always, is Emily Rand from Los Angeles. And we got a little bit of movement since the leagues have come back from their staggered breaks. Emily, let's start with the number 5 position, and that will be dropping one spot. Top Esports Gaming. So, what made them drop from 4th to 5th since the last rankings?
So this is kind of a really weird, almost soft reset in the middle of the league because we had the 2 Rift Rivals tournaments and, like you mentioned, a staggered break. TOP looked very shaky against the Korean teams that they faced. I think they definitely weren't prepared for this shift slightly away from a solo lane meta because they had not practiced on the patch. They also started Moyu in the top lane, who I actually think could start on a lot of LPL teams, but is not the top laner they've been using. It's 369. So when we do see them drop, that's actually a reflection of some of their Rift Rivals performances and not necessarily their performances in the LPL. We're kind of keeping an eye on them to see how they shake out over the next few weeks.
Next for Top Esports will be Friday taking on LGD Gaming. Number 4, we got Kingzone DragonX. Now they are 7-3 right now in the LCK. They did have an impressive victory at Rift Rivals against FunPlus Phoenix. We may or may not see them higher on this list here. But let's focus on Kingzone right now. They seem to hover around number 4 in our global power rankings. What's it going to take for them to get higher on this list?
Mainly more consistency. I think when a lot of people look at power rankings, there's a lot of factors that go into it. Win-loss record is one of them. Just general consistency over your league is another. And that's kind of where Kingzone are doing really well right now. It actually makes me super happy because they're my favorite team to watch in Korea right now. I think they're really fun. They're really dynamic. They have shown that they can play a variety of different styles outside of default to deft. But when they want to default to deft and put him on Ezreal, put him on Jinx like they did this past week, they can do that as well, which is always really fun to see him on those signature picks. But I think from Kingzone, and they've said this themselves, we need more consistency from match to match to match over a longer period of time, because we did see them struggle, drop some games they might shouldn't have even in victories, and then also drop a few matches entirely. So we want to see more consistency of them going forward. But I'm actually really happy that they're on top of Korea. I actually think they're the best team in Korea right now. So yeah, it's been really fun to watch them.
Next for Kingzone will be Thursday against Hanwha Life and Saturday against Genji. Who is in the middle of our top 5? Let's take a look right now. Bam! It is RNG, Royal Never Give Up. They have been at the number 3 spot before. Here they are at number 3 once again. They've had a long time off. We haven't seen them since the break. They will be playing Saturday against Edward Gaming. Emily, what are you hoping they worked on during this time off?
I think the meta shift that we saw, so one of the big things that happened at East Asian Rift Rivals, for people that don't know, is that we did see the Korean teams succeed by taking a slight shift back away from the solo lane focus that they had dominated a lot of teams, like, specifically G2 is really well known for this. They're the best team in the world. And a lot of these top LPL teams also play a lot around their solo laners, whereas these Korean teams that came in played around their bot lane. And no team in the LPL is better at playing around their bot lane than RNG with Uzi. And I think the reason why I actually really love this RNG team is also what they've been doing with Lang X in the top lane as well. He's an incredibly strong top laner, and he has added an extra point of pressure on the map for them that is a little bit more urgent than maybe other top laners they've had in the past. I just really like this team. I see them doing well in this meta. There's not really a reason to drop them even though they didn't play. So again, it's a weird week. We might see them drop if they end up losing a game to EDG, which is also a very bot lane focused team. So I'm actually really looking forward to that matchup.
We're sticking with the LPL for our runner-up in our global power rankings this week. That honor goes to FunPlus Phoenix. They are undefeated, 8-0 right now in the LPL. Interesting, you mentioned actually in your Rift Rivals article over at ESPN.com/esports, Emily, you mentioned that one of your takeaways from that tournament was the LPL continues to disappoint. And yet we have 3 teams on this list from the LPL. What makes you say that?
So I think the big thing with FPX is that in a power ranking, when these like win streaks matter so much, FPX doesn't lose. Like they just will not lose. So it's hard to justify dropping them for teams underneath. And then again, with the top of South Korea, we've seen teams rotate in and out. Griffin right now is having an extraordinary slump. They have looked really out of sorts, really poor to form this past week, whereas SKT, who was subbing out Faker for Gory previously, is now like shooting up because somehow they went through a hyperbolic time chamber at Rift Rivals and remembered how they wanted to play the game again. So again, that's why you're seeing like a ton of shakeup, but in terms of power rankings, the problem with FPX is that they won't lose. And I do think they're a good team. I think they're really good at playing this one specific style and working within the parameters of that style. We saw that when they dismantled Griffin with Doinby's Pantheon mid, which is kind of probably Pantheon's sore spot for Griffin at this point. But in terms of where the LPL is at, where FPX is at, I think we're going through a transition again from maybe a more solo lane focused approach to a more bot lane focused approach where teams like RNG, EDG are going to thrive. So I'm actually looking for slightly more movement in the top 10 from the LPL teams, but we'll have to see how they perform.
And of course now, drum roll please, our number one position, I'm sure many of you saw this one coming, it goes to G2 Esports. Perhaps no surprise there, they have been either number one or number two. They rise from the last power rankings to number one. What makes G2 Esports so special, Emily?
I mean, definitely their flexibility. They also trolled people into thinking that Zedbot was a good pick, so, you know, there's that. I mean, I think the thing that I really love the most about G2 is that they play to their strengths. They are able to do the triple flex, which we've mentioned on previous power rankings videos, where you can flex champions between Wonder in top, Caps in mid, and Perks in the bot lane. They can play a variety of different styles. They are remarkably punishing in their early game. They will not let you sit back and just kind of do nothing, right? Like they will attack you immediately, and it's a very strong, aggressive attack. And I just really love that they also, throughout all of this, just seem to be having a ton of fun. It was really awesome to talk to them when they were in LA for Rift Rivals. I think they're smart about how they want to play. I think they're having a lot of fun playing the game, and they're using the strengths of this powerhouse lineup that they brought together for this year in bringing Caps on, like, insanely well. So yeah, that is why they're the best team in the world.
How much hope do you give for them at Worlds?
I think if things stay the same and we don't return to like a very strictly focused, you know, scaling bot lane 5v5 type meta, I think they're one of the teams to beat at Worlds for sure.
So there you have it, Emily Rand breaking down our global power rankings in League of Legends. If you agree or disagree, let us know on Twitter at ESPN_esports. And for round-the-clock esports coverage, you can always check us out at ESPN.com/esports.